Hello!
Hey,
We're back. We took a week off. That's okay. We had 1 week buffer.
someone took a week off.
Yeah, it was all my fault. I was traveling in Australia, and no, I wasn't in Australia, but I was traveling and I just couldn't make it work. So,
The Bears punter's Australian.
yeah, or wait, I was going to say, who drafted a punter in like the
The
fifth
Bears,
round?
the fourth
It was
round.
them?
Yeah,
And
the fourth
he's
round.
like
Hunt
very,
God, supposedly.
he's got a lot of personality. Is that he's like.
So he's been on. They featured him in the last episode of Hard Knocks a bit, and I don't know that he's got a ton of personality. He seems to have honestly a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, for being Australian, a stranger in a strange land. I think he just wants to get in and punt and do his job and get out.
I want to kick the ball.
He wants to kick the ball. It's supposed to he's very, very, very good at it.
Yeah.
So just is great. It's good to have good people at their jobs.
Speaking of being very good at things, your Bears are very good at winning preseason games, aren't they?
I mean, I guess. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, the hype is real. Like, we'll see what happens. But
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to switch subjects. So
I saw a TikTok video this morning that said the Bears under is like one of the most bets out there right now. Bears under 8.5 is like wildly popular right now in betting circles.
That's interesting.
I mean, because every prognosticator in the world is like, oh, Bears. They're going to be good. They got all these weapons.
So with betting, there's like the people who know what they're doing, and then there's all the people who think they know what they're doing. So you're saying like that's what the smart people are doing, or that's what?
I have no idea, but I do think it's a reaction to all of the pundits saying that they're going to be good this year. That's what I think. Whether or not that's smart or based on anything relevant, that I cannot say.
Yeah, I mean, it's all Caleb to me. Like if he plays as well as some people think he can, like they're definitely going to win that many games. I think their defense is plenty good enough for it. If he struggles, like a lot of rookie quarterbacks struggle, granted he's got more potential than a lot of them.
That's what they say.
So
I think the issue is CJ Stroud. That's the problem. Is that like immediately last year you had a rookie quarterback come in and be amazing, and then you have all this hype around Williams. And he's the number 1 overall pick, which Stroud was taken second. There's just maybe unfairly a comparison that's naturally going to be drawn this year to Williams. Now, if Stroud struggles or fails or somehow regresses, which I suppose is likely, then maybe that mitigates it somewhat. But I do think that that just adds to the level of expectation for Williams.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who is the best high drafted quarterback like
in their rookie season
before Stroud. Was there one that was like that good within the last 5 years?
I mean, I don't know, not in the last 5 years. You know, Mahomes sat his rookie season, right? But then in his sophomore season, he came out and threw 50 touchdowns and made it to the AFC Championship game where he lost to Tom Brady. So it's like in your sophomore season, which is kind of your rookie season, you didn't play. That's pretty fucking incredible.
Right. All right. So we're talking Bears, we're talking quarterbacks, and we're not even talking about the NFC North today. So let's go get back on task.
Let's shift.
NFC East, NFC West. We'll start in the East. And first of all, we got a little background going on here. It's our ugly mugs. Trying to just spruce things up a little bit. And that is the work of my cousin, Zach Hoffner. So thanks to him for the artwork.
Sir. Bravo.
Well done. Little mini plug there. All right, let's go.
Made me look respectable-ish.
The Dallas Cowboys. Loading. So the Cowboys, McCarthy, it is do or die. Like, if they don't play at any point, if they're struggling, he could go in the middle of the year.
Has Jerry Jones is that a thing? Like, does Jerry Jones fire coaches in the middle of the season? Because that was a big deal with the Bears, with all of their shitty coaches. It's like, well, they never fire him in the middle of the season.
That's actually
do they?
Good question. That's something to look up. I'm not sure.
I don't remember like if Jason Garrett made it to the end of the season or whoever perceives it Dave Campo preceded Jason Garrett, and I don't know if he ever got. Is Mike McCarthy the worst Super Bowl winning coach? Is he like the worst one at all the I don't know, there's 50.
Oh, I would need a list, and I'm guessing there's a couple like old timers who won one and weren't very good that I just don't know because
modern era then, last 25 years.
That's a good question. We should follow up on that for sure.
Okay.
I mean, he's got to be.
It's him and Doug Peterson, right? Yeah, it's him and Doug Peterson right now. I feel like are the.
Yeah, a lot to prove for those guys. Maybe they'll both get fired, and then someone will hire them together as co-coaches.
Oh my god, that sounds like a disaster.
Okay, the Cowboys. Zeke is back. So the Cowboys lost to the Packers in the first. Whatever, they didn't get a bye, I don't think, did they?
No, they didn't. There's only the one bye. San Francisco had it.
Yeah, so they lost to the Packers. They got smashed by the Packers at home.
Lost by 20 points, yeah.
So Dak is back, obviously. CeeDee Lamb is holding out, I think. I don't know if he got a contract yet. So the Cowboys have been good for a few years. Can they win playoff games and make a push to win the NFC and possibly a Super Bowl? That's the big question.
Yeah. Mike McCarthy is the winningest head coach in the regular season of the last 2 or 3 years, maybe total like record or close to it. It's not translated into playoff success in any real way.
No. So they lost Paul or whatever. Pollard's gone. I forget who he signed with. We talked about him.
Tennessee.
Titans, yeah. I think he's on the Titans. So they got Zeke back, obviously probably in a limited role since he's he's only 29, but that's somewhat old for a running back. Rico Dowdle, Royce Freeman, and then, the CeeDee Lamb stuff, I don't know. Jerry Jones came out and said, we don't need CeeDee as much as he thinks we need him or something like that.
You're right. No, a top tier wide receiver is definitely not important in today's NFL at all.
So, provided they can keep him happy. I mean, they got Brandon Cooks, who had a pretty good year last year. Their defensive coordinator, why can't I think of his name? He used to be the Falcons head coach.
No, Dan Quinn is gone.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He left, right?
He's the head coach of Washington now.
Okay, so I forget who their DC is, but obviously their defense was one of the best in the NFL under Quinn. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm low on the Cowboys this year. Too. I mean, I guess they should maybe have a chip on their shoulder, but
so what does that matter with the Cowboys? They've been ineffectual for ages. Who's their OC? Because they lost their OC too. Because Kellen Moore's not there either.
Good question.
Because he's now the OC of. Is he the Ravens head offensive coordinator?
Cowboys OC, Brian Cornelius Schottenheimer.
Oh man, Schottenheimer, huh? Marty Ball, come back.
That's his son, right? It's gotta be. How many Schottenheimers?
Yeah, no, it is his son. Yeah, it's definitely his son.
All right, so Cowboys, like I said, I'm not real high on them. I mean, they have a lot of talent, and I think, I don't know, they're kind of that team, one of those teams that beats the teams they're supposed to beat. Might beat a team that's pretty good once in a while. I'm gonna go win total. I don't know. It could be a disaster. All right, I'm going to split it in the middle. I really think they could have a bad year. Mm-hmm. I also think it's possible that they have another solid year and blow it in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go 9-8 in the middle.
I think that's really good. I think factoid. Kellen Moore, their OC, is now the OC for the Eagles. So they let both their coordinators.
All of the secrets.
Yeah, both of their coordinators are now on teams within their division. So that's kind of weird. I don't like the Cowboys, but I think I'm going to go 10-7. I do think they'll probably make the playoffs. I think there's enough talent on this roster to win 10 games in the NFL. I don't have much faith in the coach. And if they don't have a top-tier wide receiver, I'm not sure I have much faith in that offense either, but we'll see.
All right. If they lose a few early, look for some disgruntled Cowboys.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. That's one team down. Now we have the New York Football Giants.
Football Giants, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, if anyone remembers anything from the Giants last year, they were pretty awful. Daniel Jones got hurt a couple times and just wasn't good. Their offensive line was horrible. It was just like a wasted season. They just weren't ready to do anything, it seemed like. So now Barkley's gone. Jones had signed a huge contract. So this is kind of like the prove it year. Like, okay, you kind of proved it. We gave you the money. Then last year was horrible. Can you do it this year? I don't know. I'm actually not a lot of people expect the Giants to win many games. I think they're going to be one of those teams that you talk about regression teams. I think they will be an opposite of that. I don't know if it's enough to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to have a decent season just because when things go wrong, you focus harder on trying to make things go right and like do the right things. If things are going well, sometimes you just kind of coast and you're not looking at how to get better. So I'm going to play that card here. You got, like I said, Daniel Jones. What do we got here for the skill positions? Josh Kelly, he was on the Chargers. They got him. Who's their starting running back? They got Singletary.
Devin Singletary feels like the lead. I mean, none of the names.
I don't know. I don't.
It's a mosh.
Pretty thin at running back, if you ask me. Although Singletary's been probably underrated.
Yeah.
It's just not a name that jumps out at you. What's that?
He's not Saquon Barkley though.
That's true.
Who's now interdivisionally on the Eagles, right? Yeah, he went to the Eagles. So this is a weird division where everybody is sort of incestuously moving to the same teams within the division. It's weird.
Yeah, does Barkley get hurt like he always does, or is he just magically fine because he's not on the Giants anymore?
He's just magically delicious. I don't know.
Receivers, those were not very good for the Giants last year either.
Yeah, who's the stand-up? They've got 50 of them though on the roster, so that'll fix it.
Oh yeah, try them. Isaiah McKenzie, they got from the Bills. Wan'Dale Robinson is more of a slot guy. Hodgins was kind of like started to break out a little bit last year, but they were just so bad. It's like you didn't really know what you had.
They've got a rookie from Wyoming and a rookie from West Florida.
Yeah.
And a rookie from LSU, Malik Neighbors. That's the guy that I think they're probably looking for.
Darius Slayton and Allen Robinson. So it's kind of like I don't know. I mean, I guess you would say Hodgins and Slayton and Robinson are probably their top three, but Allen Robinson is getting a little bit older, but we could probably. And then Jalen Hyatt was another one he's a younger guy who kind of started to break out, but didn't really, fully become a really good receiver. So they got a lot of question marks, I guess. So maybe I should. Go back on they're going to have a decent season.
I don't know. I mean, these are a bunch of no-name guys or replacement level skill position players. It's just weird. They're going to need somebody to step up.
All right. So I'm going to say they do better than most people think, but I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to go, man. I'll go 8-9.
I'm gonna go 8-9 too. Yeah.
All right.
I like Daboll as a coach. When the Bears had their opening and they hired Eberflus, I really wanted them to hire Daboll instead. And then that first season, he took the Giants to the playoffs, and I was like, damn it, why didn't we get Daboll? And then last year, it's sort of the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. So I'm not sure, but I think 8-9 feels right. I don't know.
This might be this is going to sound stupid, but this might be one of those where I'm kicking myself for not going like 10-7. Like they actually like make the playoffs and totally turn it around. I mean, I kind of like going out on a limb like that, but I already said it, 8-9.
Yeah, I feel the other way. I feel this could be like a 3-14 team. Like, I mean, again, if the quarterback is what drives an NFL team, and if their quarterback is bad, and then there aren't any good standout skill position players, then they're going to be really terrible. And we haven't even mentioned their defense. Do they even have a defense?
No.
That feels right.
Marty Morningweg.
He's an OC. who famously took the win.
What's their DC's name? It's something goofy like that.
Oh, is it Wink Martindale?
Yeah, Marty Morning Wink Martindale.
Yeah, he's also hosting a game show later today.
Wink.
Yeah. Is that right? Maybe that's right. I don't even know.
Didn't Dable lose like 100 pounds too? Have you seen him lately? He doesn't even look like the same person.
I have not, no. I don't, do you even know, like, can you name one of their defensive players?
Maybe if I thought for a little while. Lawrence Taylor.
Touche. Touche. One who's not retired and in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, let's look up their defensive roster here quick, and we'll see if anything rings a bell.
Nope. Oh, Boogie Basham. There we go.
I never heard of him.
What?
Boogie Woogie? Brian Burns. They got Brian Burns from the Panthers. Edge rusher. Very solid. There you go. I know one guy who wasn't there last year who's there now.
Okay. I mean, I just keep scrolling down for a minute. Like, none of these names. Like,
and Okereke,
yeah,
linebacker. I remember that name.
Just because it's like a weird name. If he was Smith, you probably wouldn't.
Hey, but
all right.
You know,
we'll see. Maybe maybe everyone makes a name for himself.
Right.
And then we'll end the season knowing their entire roster.
Yeah. I mean, you got to make the name at some point. You can't. You don't just get the name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 down, 2 to go. Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago about Sirianni and Hurts, and like we're on the same page. And Hurts was just going rogue and running his own plays. So.
They weren't talking to one another. Like that's what I heard. Like they couldn't be in the same room. They wouldn't talk to one another. It's like you hear that a lot. Like in like sports teams, and there's like people are like the GM and the head coach are talking to one another, or this player and this player are talking to one another. It's like they're professionals. Like I don't may not like somebody I work with. I don't get to not talk to them or get work done because I don't care for them. How does this work? How do adults making millions of dollars just sit at a table across from one another and be like this?
And I don't know how it goes from, like not talking to each other or like totally being at ends. Yeah. And now they're just going to try to do it again and everything's going to be fine. Like, obviously you must have a meeting where you explain why things aren't going to happen the way they happen and like what people have to do and have to stick to. But I don't know. It just seems like a tough thing to come back from.
It does. And it's like, they didn't even have, they had the Super Bowl hangover, but it came way late. So this is the team that was amazing. Went to the Super Bowl and then came back and won like 9 straight games in the following season, which typically doesn't happen. And then they just imploded. So it was like somewhere along the way, they were amazing and had this great chemistry. And then the wheels came off. And a lot of people say, well, the coordinators left. And so then Sirianni is not really good. It was his coordinators. Maybe that's true. But, man, I don't know. Something stinks.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out pretty
Stinky.
Easily because their roster is loaded.
Yes. Big time roster.
So Hurts, and then they got Barkley from the Giants.
Yes.
They have
A.J. Brown.
Yeah, A.J. Brown's back.
Yes.
And Smith, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Devontae Smith is still there. I mean, that 1-2 punch is
they got a good tight end.
Up there with pretty much any.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Goddard.
Yep.
And who's the guy from Nebraska? They had another tight end from Nebraska.
Nick Gates. No, he's the center. Sorry.
No, well, maybe he must have got traded away. But he played decent when Goddard was out last year too, I think. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
they've got talent where you want talent on offense. Actually, we haven't talked about the offensive line, but quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end.
So Jason Kelce is retired.
Yes.
That obviously makes a difference. Yes. He was one of the best centers for sure.
Yeah, and they had the best offensive line, like the top 5 offensive line last year. The tush push, remember, guys? Tush push. Everybody was all up in arms. Tush push.
Yeah, so it's at the beginning, or when we started this last year, I remember saying, like, people have had an off season to figure out the whole Hurts RPO because, like, no one could figure it out the year before. And teams definitely defended it better. And now it's just 2 years of that. And I think it's going to be less effective again, although Hurts and Barkley, it's like, good luck if you're trying to, figure out who has the ball and how to tackle that, those guys after only gaining a couple yards. But I don't know. I guess Swift was a pretty good running back too. So we'll see. So they got the Jims and Joes. Their defense was actually kind of not so great last year. So that'll be a big question mark, I guess, going into this year.
They have Kenny Pickett though. Thank God for that.
Oh yeah. He'll step right in if Hurts gets hurt.
I mean, if he's on the roster?
Yeah, my buddy Josh isn't too high on Mr. Pickett.
I mean, not high on him, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he's not in Pittsburgh anymore, so that tells you something. But then I don't know, their quarterback room seems like a stinker too. So. Okay,
it's time for predictions. Yeah. You go first this time. I got to think about this.
Yeah, I'm going to go 11-6. I think you're going to go 11-6. I think this is still probably the best team in this division. I mean, as I look at it, I certainly don't like the next team we're going to talk about at all. So, I mean, there's not one team in here I really love, but this is the one I think that feels like it's the best fit to win this division and make some noise in the playoffs. I don't know, 11-6.
All right, I'm going to go one down from that. I'm going to go 10-7.
Okay.
I think they might kind of struggle. Like maybe they barely get in the playoffs. Maybe they're left out. I think they might struggle a little bit, but we'll see. I mean, if the Giants and Commanders are awful, like someone's got to win games in that division. So
that's right.
I don't know. A lot of dynamics to the old guessing the record. I got 10-7. Josh has 11-6.
Yeah.
And now we move on to the absolute blue blood of the division. Washington.
Oh, retread head coach.
The Commanders. They're so bad my page isn't loading fast. Okay. They drafted Jaden Daniels. If he's a stud, he kind of has a, how do I want to say this? So I've said before multiple times, I didn't expect Stroud to be the one who would really be a stud, especially quickly. This is the Stroud of this draft. I don't expect him, Jaden Daniels, to be really good really fast. Maybe he will be. He has that same, I put him in the same bucket as I did Stroud when Stroud came into the league, but isn't he 6'4", 6'5"?
Yes, he's a big,
right there, 6'4",
slender, slight.
Yeah, obviously has all the talent in the world. I think he's super quick too.
Yeah.
The big thing with NFL quarterbacks is the speed of the game and making the right decisions, obviously. So we'll see how that goes. And I haven't paid attention to the preseason, but I'm sure he's gotten plenty of snaps to see if he's ready to go.
I think everybody has accolades on Caleb Williams, and through the first two games, and he didn't. Bears had a preseason game last night in which Caleb Williams did not play. None of the starters played. Anyway, through the two games that he played, people have said Caleb Williams has been the best, and then I think it's been Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, and people have really liked Bo Nix, and he just got the starting job. So he's not been bad. I think he is probably I want to say maybe the most dynamic QB out there, the rookie quarterback, somebody who, when the play breaks down, has the quickness and the mental acuity to make something happen. But I could also see him throwing 50 million interceptions.
Yeah.
We're trying to scramble and get that. So it just we'll see. I don't know. He's a rookie, so.
So I think we're going to get to see, well, I'm assuming Daniels is the starter, but maybe I shouldn't assume that. But Nix, Daniels, Williams,
Marcus Mariota
should all start day one, I think.
Yeah. So
that's kind of cool to have three rookie quarterbacks getting the nod immediately to see how they stack up.
I think that's just how it works now. if you're drafting a rookie in the first round, especially in the top 10, the goal is that they're starting.
They're either going to start, or you're going to tell them they're not going to start, and then they're going to tear their meniscus and then sit out the year.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't think Drake May is going to be the day one starter either.
No, but there's nobody in that that just seems not very good. So why ruin your prospective quarterback with a shitty team? I think the what's going on in Atlanta is way more interesting, right? Because they gave all that money to Cousins, and Cousins is is ready to play, but then they've got Michael Penix Jr. who is there too, and he's played the preseason. So that I think is really, it's an open question whether he starts or not. But
yeah. All right. So this is where Austin Eckler landed.
Yes.
They also have Brian Robinson.
Yep.
Still there. He's been there for a few years.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have
a standout wideout. They must have drafted somebody.
Yeah. The question around Eckler, he's 29 now, and I think he was saying something in San Diego about, you can't use your top running back so much, or it's something about too much overuse or something like that. So we'll see how that goes in Washington. Last year he had a pretty terrible year. Fantasy owners, I don't think anyone was happy with what he was doing. But I mean, the Chargers were pretty terrible all around. So will he have a bounce back year? I don't know. What do we got for
the ball to? That's it. That's the question.
Receivers? Martavis Bryant from the Steelers. Luke McCaffrey made the squad.
Yeah, well, for the moment. And then sorry, go ahead.
McLaurin is obviously the number one. And then they got rid of Dotson. He went over to one of the teams we talked about earlier today, Jahan Dotson. So McLaurin's your number one. You've got Jamison Crowder, who's getting up there in age. I mean, Martavis Bryant, I would guess, is one of your top three receivers.
They got to be. Where did they draft? So they got a wideout out of Georgia. And just because it's an SEC wideout, I'm assuming
Rosemy Jackson.
What a great name. Assuming he was drafted fairly high. I mean, that seems to be the success, the model for success right now for your rookie quarterback. And I think it's Joe Burrow who laid the groundwork for that, or Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? Because they had immediate success, right? You got a crackerjack quarterback and a lights out wide receiver. You put them together, and they were just magic right from jump. That's what the Bears have done, right? They got Williams and Odunze, and then this has to be. I'm assuming that this is their plan as well in Washington, right? You've got a rookie quarterback, you match him with a rookie wide receiver, and right from the jump, they have something special. We'll see.
All right, what are you going on the old Commanders?
I mean, I don't know. Once again, we didn't talk about the defense. Do you know anybody on the defense? I don't know. I think this is probably they're not a good team. I think this is probably the worst team in the division. Record-wise, by the end of the season, we'll see. I'm going to go 6-11.
6-11.
Yeah, I'm going to go 6-11.
I want this team to, I don't know why, but I want this team to be the team that no one expected to be good, and they're good. I'm not going to say they are. I'm going to give them not many wins, but I think that's probably just because for some reason I don't really like the Cowboys and I don't really like the Eagles. So I kind of hope the Giants and Commanders are at the top. That's going to be tough for both of those things to happen. I think they're going to struggle. But they had such a bad year last year. Usually you can figure some stuff out and kind of, I'm going to go 7-10.
I think this team, I mean, if Jaden Daniels comes out and is great, it's true of any quarterback, right? So it's not really saying a lot, but I think their season rests on his shoulders. I also feel like this is probably the team where he's pretty good, Daniels, and in 3 years they need a new coach because they hired the wrong one. So we'll see. But yeah, I think they're going to finish last in this division.
All right, we're done with the East and on to the West.
Yes.
Okay, the Arizona Cardinals. So, again, if you remember last year, so once we get done with this preseason stuff, we're going to guess the lines of the games each week. That's kind of the big thing that drives this. Last year, I totally spaced out that Kyler Murray tore up his knee and was going to miss the first 10 weeks of the season. And so I was way off on their first week spread. He's back.
Yes.
The Cardinals are still expected to be pretty bad, which this is a weird one for me because they seem like a team that's going to flip the script and go from being pretty bad. Although they were competitive towards the beginning of last year. They played some teams tough. I think they might even beaten the Cowboys.
They did. Yeah. So an early season.
So this is
upset.
This is a big year for Kyler Murray. He's had a little bit of controversy over his work ethic and just he seems like he's disinterested in everything. And coming off the injury, this is kind of his chance to prove I am an elite quarterback or I'm not an elite quarterback, pretty much. So Kyler Murray, what do we got here? Michael Carter, he is over from the Jets, I believe. He is not. So James Conner, Michael Carter. Who else is going to actually get touches in the backfield? That's probably going to be mostly those two. And then receivers, we got. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to be plug and play. I don't think anyone is going to be saying after week 4, wow, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a bust.
No.
Kyler and him gonna be pretty good, I think. Zay Jones over from the Jaguars, I believe.
Yeah.
He was kind of underrated, very solid, but people didn't really talk about him much. What else do they have here? There's got to be Michael Wilson had a decent year last year with some injuries, I think. So the receiving core overall, maybe average. Who do they got for a tight end? Oh, McBride had a big year last year, didn't he?
Yeah,
McBride was one of the top. Was he a rookie last year? Or maybe
no.
Oh no, it's year
Close.
3.
Yeah.
He had a really good year fantasy-wise last year. I don't think he got drafted real high in most leagues, and he had a good year. So, skill players, like I said, I don't know, maybe average overall. You got Kyler Murray who can buy time in the pocket. I think the Cardinals are going to be decent this year. I'm going to go – let's see. They got to play the Niners and the Seahawks and the Rams. All right, call me crazy. I'm gonna go 9-8.
Oh, that's where I wanted to go. I'm gonna go 7 and I'm gonna go 7 and 10.
All right.
I'm gonna go. I just feel like there's gonna be a lot of inconsistency on offense.
All right, you got what is this? Is it Gannon's their head coach?
Yes.
And like I said, for a first-year head coach, it seemed like
didn't do terribly given
they played
their injuries and stuff.
Better than they were expected to with their backup quarterback most of the year. Okay, the Arizona Cardinals are done being talked about for today. Los Angeles, Los Rams. Okay, Matt Stafford, 36. Juice. Old man.
He really is. 16 years.
He is one more concussion away from being done with football, I think.
It felt like that was the storyline last year at the beginning of the season. Stafford's done. He's old. He came out and had a pretty decent year, but that's just, I feel like you're just running it back.
So they drafted Blake Corum, running back from Michigan. They also have a little Ronnie Rivers, Boston Scott. Who was their stud last year, though?
Running back. I don't remember.
Their starter.
I don't even remember.
Kieran Williams.
Yeah. The offense is built around their wide receivers, though. That's where...
Or Kyron Williams. I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah. Kyron Williams was a touchdown machine. He had some fumbling issues, but Blake Corum, Kyron Williams, that is a very solid 1-2 punch. And I think they were smart. I think those two have very similar skill sets. So you can kind of plug and play. I kind of like that combo over there in Los Angeles.
I like their coach.
Cooper Kupp had a kind of a wet fart season last year. We'll see if he can come back from that. Yeah, he was injured.
He fucked his knee up or something. He was gone for large chunks.
Yeah, and then Puka kind of took over. He was very good. I mean, if Kupp can be what he was 2 years ago,
Triple Crown.
I mean, Puka and Kupp, like, go find me two better 1-2 punch receivers.
Can't.
Demarcus Robinson. They have 3 rookie receivers that they took a chance on. And then what are we? The tight end position. We got Higbee.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler Higbee's their number 1 option. Skill-wise there, I mean, definitely above average, I would say, provided Kupp is healthy and, as good as he once was, so to speak. And Donald retired this offseason, right?
Aaron Donald, yeah.
So that's obviously a
huge loss
spot. They got to fill that. Although when they start 4-2, it's going to be like, oh, Donald's signing a contract with the Rams. He wants to play some games and try to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are going to be good. I forget how they finished. Last year they were kind of up and down, weren't they?
They just finished outside of the playoffs.
Oh, they did. They ended up 10-7.
No, did they make the playoffs? They must have made the playoffs.
Yeah, they must have. But who did they play? Los Rams.
I will look it up because I was going to say they didn't make the playoffs, but then they did. So.
Okay.
Come on, Wikipedia. Show me the man. Okay, so they played Detroit in the opening round.
Oh, yeah.
And Detroit beat them. It was close. Detroit, it was 24-23 Detroit. The best thing about this team, I think, is the coach. I like the coach. He's one of the best in the NFL. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I forgot that. That was Stafford coming back to Detroit, right? I don't know how I forgot about that.
It was a forgettable season for them, to be honest, because they were in it. They were not a playoff juggernaut. They were sort of sniffing around it. They made it towards the end of the season, and they lost. I mean, it was just. Yeah. Kupp was injured, and I think their big story was Puka Nacua. Honestly, that was the big thing about that team last year. He came out of nowhere. He was electric. I think that's probably why this is forgettable, and this feels very similar. I feel like this is a Xerox season for them.
I am going to go 11-6.
No, 10-7. I think they'll do that again. Probably make the playoffs. Probably the second best team in this division.
And if they do make the playoffs, I've kind of always said, or at least for a while, you don't really want to play Stafford and the Rams, McVay. It's a team that can beat anyone. It seems like they're not going to be scared of the Chiefs or anyone really.
Nope. Seasoned.
Yeah. Okay. 2 teams left.
Niners.
We've got the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll talk about the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Okay. 49ers obviously made the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They have
again
most of their studs back, I believe. Purdy, McCaffrey.
Ayuk is still a question mark.
Ayuk, so he's still
negotiating? They didn't hear that they signed him or traded him.
Okay, so
Dabo.
Ayuk is Debo? Yeah. Ayuk is a stud. They're probably their number 2. Debo is, he can run the ball, catch it, pretty much do everything. The Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Jack of all trades.
Do they still have Jaquan Jennings?
He even has his own play package in Madden. If you play the Niners, there's the Debo. There's the Debo package.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Kittle.
Yeah.
Let's look at their defense. I mean, obviously that was so.
They were good last
year. If I remember right, they had quite a few guys that were set to negotiate contracts and whatnot. So I didn't really pay attention to
who they. Bosa's still there though.
Who's that?
Bosa.
Bosa. Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
I watched an interview from him the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really funny. Yeah. He is a goofy dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of a goofy dude. Like, he was like straight face talking all this weird stuff about I wake up at 3:30 and I don't know. Like, I forget what he said, but it was hilarious. Go look it up. It almost seemed fake, but I was laughing. Look it up. It's funny. Okay. Who else? So they're a key to the Niners defense is their linebackers are so quick and move so good side to side. So that is Greenlaw. He's still there. And then who's the other one? Who's their stud linebacker? Fred Warner. So they got Fred Warner and Greenlaw still.
This is going to be a good team. Good coach.
They're going to be
good
really
team.
good.
I'd probably make the Super Bowl or be right there.
So last year, you remember Debo got hurt. He probably sat out 3 or 4 regular season games. And that, like, they lost to the Vikings last year with Debo out. They kind of had a little skid in the middle of the season, and people were starting to question them. And then they won, like, I don't know, 7 of their last 8 or something like that. I think they're going to be really good. I'm going to go 14-3.
Yeah, I was gonna go. I'm gonna go 13-4. I mean, 14-3. You could say 15-2. I'd believe any of it. I think this is a really good team. I mean, they made the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They were in the Super Bowl 4 or 5 years ago. Shanahan's a good coach. I don't care what anybody says. I know he hasn't delivered the big game yet, but he's a great coach. This is a good team. It's a stacked roster.
14-3 is a little crazy just because like every team's going to have a couple off days in the NFL, and then
maybe 12-5. I don't know.
Their schedule's got to be tough because they made the Super Bowl. You know, like I think that makes you have tougher opponents the better you do. I probably shouldn't have gotten quite so crazy, but it's inked. It's set in stone. So
I mean, they'll be the 1 or 2 best, first or second best team in the NFC this year. I don't think there's any, you know, who the other team is, I don't know, but this is definitely 1 or 2 for sure.
Yeah, they're going to be good out there on the West Coast, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, barring unforeseen injuries, something catastrophic.
Yeah. All right, we got the Seattle Seahawks with a new coach. They have McDonald from the Ravens, right? The defensive coordinator.
Yep.
Geno Smith, I assume, is the starter no matter what. I mean, they brought over Sam Howell from the Commanders, but I don't know that he would be given the chance to have the starting job day one. I should pay more attention to preseason and actually research something.
I don't think anybody's. I mean, people liked what Geno Smith did last year. This was not I think a question of they were bringing in somebody to replace Geno Smith. Right. He's still relatively young for a quarterback.
Yeah.
33. People, I think, were surprised at his performance. He's been around the league for so long. I mean, I don't think there's a competition there at all.
So Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet were very good last year. I had Walker on my fantasy team. He was a stud. He did get banged up a little bit, but he runs hard, so that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, both of them have been there for a while. Both are very solid. And then Smith and Jigba, they drafted him last year. He was very solid as well. So their receivers are plenty good. What do we got for the tight end? Fant, and their tight end position, maybe not so spectacular, but that receiving core and those running backs, you know, you have enough weapons on offense, especially for a defensive coach, although Carroll was a defensive coach too. But if McDonald is as good as they think he is, definitely touted as one of the best defensive minds in the game at this point, I mean, they're a team that might not be expected to win a lot, but if you look at who they have, and I mean, it wouldn't be crazy to see them have a winning season and make the playoffs.
I think this is going to be maybe the worst team in the division. I'm going to go on a limb. Yeah, I don't know. I'm 6-11.
6-11.
Yeah.
So I already have 3 teams with winning records in this division, and one with 14 wins. And now I'm trying to talk myself into the Seahawks being good. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. Let's go. I just think they're going to be. I'm going to go 9-8. I'm just going to kind of middle it and say they're going to be serviceable. Part of me thinks, how old's Geno Smith? He's got to be
old. 33.
33.
Yeah,
it's not that old.
No, he's quarterback, middle of his career quarterback. Right? He could play another 7 years.
Part of me thinks maybe like the whole, like he came into Seattle and I think he had to win the job. He had a pretty good year.
He did
his first year, and I mean he's played well the whole time he's been there. But maybe this is where he kind of just like fizzles out.
It just feels like an old roster with a new coach who's defensive minded, which is always a weird choice I think in the modern NFL right now. This just feels like a team that's ready to just turn it all over. I feel like.
So I've got 43 wins in that division, 43-25. So I don't know. Like when you're looking at predicting how many games each team's going to win, like it would be stupid to like have your wins equal your losses, right? Because you're going to be wrong on a handful of teams no matter what, right? Like you're never going to be great on everyone. So I'm just making excuses for me saying that everyone in the NFC West is going to have a winning record, but I'm sure
it's possible.
Bomb on.
It's possible. This playoff structure is set up so where an entire division could conceivably make the playoffs. With 3 wildcard teams, that is possible.
Right.
So.
All right, we finished half of the NFC, and we haven't even talked about our favorite teams yet. That's going to be next week. So next week we'll do the last 2 divisions, and then do we have? And then is it next weekend?
No, it's after Labor Day. So there'll be preseason will finish this weekend, and then there's an off week, and then the first game is the 5th.
Perfect. So we'll do the last 2 divisions. Yeah. Then we'll do guess the lines for week 1.
Yep.
And everything's falling into place nicely.
Totes.
All right. Any parting words?
Go Bears.
Go Vikings!